Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hey,
Hey,
Brenna.
Hey,
everyone.
hey, hey,
And
hey. Welcome,
welcome, Tara.
Thank
welcome,
you.
Tara.
Yes, welcome, Tara. How are
Welcome,
you?
welcome.
We've got a special guest in the building on this episode of Real Chill Conversations. We're going to be talking to our special guest. She's got a multitude of things that are going on. We'll let her get into that conversation and discussion. But one of the things that caught my attention was her involvement in being the CEO of Bullying Buddy. We did have a previous conversation that kind of touched on bullying a little bit. But the interesting part about this, and Tara, I'll let you take it over, is just how this is something that can be utilized not only for children, but we've got all these adults out here on these dating apps, and you just never know, like, are you getting catfished? Is this a serial killer? Like, what's going on? And it seems like it gives you the opportunity to be able to record and report to the appropriate authorities and help yourself to stay safe. So why don't you go ahead and do a quick little intro and a little background about yourself, and then we'll start talking about the app, and then we'll open up the floor for questions.
Perfect. First of all, thank you once again, you guys, for having me here. I am Tara Lynn Towns. I'm the CEO of the Bullying Buddy, and I'm also the president of Tiny Be Mighty, which is a nonprofit 501c3. Our mission is to not only raise awareness for dwarfism, but is to really have a resolution like we have. And we also assist families who have lost children between the ages of 7 and 17 due to bullying. I'm also a published author of a children's book, Tiny Be Mighty, and I have my second book coming out in August, Are You Raising a Bully? And I am a therapist by day trade. I do a lot of things. Most importantly, I'm a mom on a mission to save lives and to secure people. That's what I'm here for.
Wow, I mean, that's wonderful. And that's such an inspiration for mothers that are wondering whether or not they can seem to do it all, whether they can go down a direct career path, whether they can be entrepreneurs, whether they can build a business, whether they can publish a book. And you've just explained to us, yes, you can do all of the above. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. What actually got you interested in the in authoring and publishing a book? What was the story behind that?
Well, the prince on my book is my son, Prince Encore. This is the book. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
So that's him right
That's
there.
nice. Oh, I love it.
My son was born with dwarfism, and he was bullied to the point of no return behind having dwarfism. And so,
Mm.
as I'm in my master's program, to become a developmental therapist, my son is going through bullying in school, and it shifted my everything, my world. And that's what your purpose does. If you ignore it, it will come and knock on your back, on your head, everywhere to remind you that you're here to do this. So he's my daily
Mm-hmm.
source of inspiration. And what really catapulted, writing the book and starting a nonprofit was when he came home and he had missing skin on his chin. And I asked him what happened, and he said, the kids are stepping on the back of my feet, because he was smaller, on the back of my feet, and I'm falling on my face on the ground. So as a mother, and right now I've learned, I've grown, because I was not here when that happened. I like to tell this story. The truth about this story was I was very, very upset and very ready to go, just do what I had to do as a mama bear. That's just the truth. But I learned and grew through this. I went to this school, and the principal said, any way that we could support you. I was like, wow, this was easy, right? And then he said, Mom, I want to talk to my friends about it. I don't need you to. He was 6. He's grown. He's an old soul. And so he talked to the children. And once again, your purpose, it rides you, and it will reveal itself. And sometimes you're 6, and sometimes you're 50 or 100. It just depends on when you are paying attention to receiving it. And so that is what happened to me. Like I said, I thought I was going to work with teen moms. Bullying was not on my radar. But when my baby was affected by it, and then he shut down mentally, and I'm going through my, schooling for that. And so, that just right there was like, okay, what am I going to do with this? How am I processing this? And so anyway, we took pain and we turned it into purpose. And that's what we did. And we began a journey, and people began to connect to us and invite us to speak in schools and all over the place. And it was amazing. Like I said, when you are really meant to do something down here, it will present itself. I just encourage people to pay attention to the little trinkets that float around us every day. He was my trinket that opened up, my door to what I'm supposed to be doing. And I've met wonderful moms and families who have lost children, unfortunately, and some who don't lose children. And it's just been an amazing journey of just building friendships, bonds. And this is the behind the trenches stuff that, that I also do. So that is how I got into it.
That's wonderful. That's so wonderful. I mean, a lot of us, especially when we get in mama bear mode, we want to march right on down to the school and have a conversation, and we're ready to do by whatever means necessary. So for you, you're among the fortunate few that actually did get support from the school, because a lot of what we've seen and what we've also read about and what we see on the news is that there isn't that support within the schools. I mean, it's like, who do you go to? You go to your teacher, you go to the guidance counselor, you go to the principal, and it's kind of like they have this hands-off approach. So the fact that you were able to get support from the school and encourage you by, hey, whatever assistance you need, we can help with that. I mean, that's really wonderful. And I'm glad that your son has the mindset and the thought process to talk about wanting to take care of it on his own and wanting to handle it on his own. I think that speaks volumes as to the relationship that you have with him, and also just how you run your household, because your children are reflections for the most part of what you're teaching them and
Right.
what you are talking to them about, and letting them know, hey, it's okay to say that you're not okay. And if something's going on, you need to speak up about it.
Definitely.
Right. Wow. Beautiful story, Tara. Definitely. I had a quick question. So for some of the kids that are more shy and timid and aren't going to speak up and tell their parents what's going on, what are some of the signs that some families have seen the kids exhibiting when they are being bullied and they haven't spoken up about it?
Okay, so on a clinical end, and this is what it's a great question, and thank you, because this is the whole, backdrop of what we're doing. This is why we're losing children, right? We're losing them because we're missing the cues. The cues are, number one, they regress. And quite often parents say, oh, they're just in their feelings. Oh, they're just going through something. Oh, I'm just not going to even, because he's a teenager or he's a preteen and he's just not going to share with me. Please don't do that. Please, 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 please. Unlock the door and open it up and let them do the talking. I'll give what to do, but your question was what to look for. So look for a regression. Look for a change in eating habits. That's a big one, especially their favorite meals. So when you have these, adolescents definitely developmentally can go through different stages, right? So sometimes they could be finicky with food and something, but when you have a shutdown end the food, these are the things that you don't isolate them. Know that they're all building up because there's some stuffing going on inside there. And instead of, allowing the stuff to get so heavy inside of them to where they feel like there's just the point of no return, right? Where there's no one there helping them and they don't know how to articulate what's going on to them. That's what you look for. Don't look at, like, I know parents say, well, sometimes kids don't eat, Miss Tara, and sometimes kids get in there. Okay, they do, but when they're showing all of these things together, there's something going on. Another thing too is just irritability, like just extreme, they're irritable, right? They're not brave enough to show their irritability to the person bullying them, but they definitely feel comfortable in their microsystem at home. So they will express what the inside always comes out when it becomes too much. So you put pressure on something, right? Just like a crock pot, eventually when you take that little thing, it's going to explode because the heat is too much. And so this is what to look, these are some of the things that you can look for. Also too, a big thing is that children model. So the younger ones will start, or can start, not all of them, but these, a lot of them do start modeling certain things that are being done to them, certain things that are being said to them. If you raise, we can't use labels in this house. My kids don't even know what a label is because they've been exposed to diversity from birth. They don't even judge. They do not. When they see somebody and their hands are missing or their nose is on their forehead, they just look at the person and say, oh, that's a girl. That is how I raise my children in particular. But sometimes, a lot of the times, all children are not raised that way. So you can look for different shifts in their language, right? The little ones, you can listen to them in their talk and their play, whatever they're doing with the games, whatever. They start using, abusive words like, you jerk, you stupid, like when they're playing the video games. These may be like little things, but they're really huge, because if your child has not, said the word jerk before, and all of a sudden they're saying jerk, where are they getting this from? Especially if it's coming out with aggression. And they normally, children in general, adolescents, display their behavior through play. And play doesn't necessarily mean, a doll or a ball. It could mean their video games. It could mean anything. So these are a lot of the signs that I find. I also have a private practice, so I work with children who are bullied, being bullied, and the bullies and the parents. But these are just signs that that you can look out for, definitely.
Does some of that can some of that be displayed through artwork? I know a lot of the younger children in elementary school, they're drawing pictures, and then you get a phone call from the teacher saying, hey, your son or your daughter drew this picture, and when we asked them what it meant, then they gave us a breakdown and a detail. This is bringing cause of concern. Is that something else? Is that another sign to look out for as well?
Absolutely. And also in diaries. I know it's not nice for us to read diaries, but if you're suspecting something, you have to do what you have to do as a mom. Don't let them know that you're violating. But if it's something serious, I don't care what it is. They could be mad at me. I just want you to be here with me. You understand? You'll get over it. But they do display in writing. Even with my son, I sit here and I'm always, very, very transparent, because I want people to know that just because I'm considered the bullying lady or a therapist or all of these things, I still have challenges with my child. That's normal. When he ordered up, I'm gonna give a prime example. He wants a tattoo. He's 14, so now he's just grown man, right? And I said, no, not yet. Why? So I got his understanding of why, and then he ordered them. When they came in, it had a sword. It had the skeleton face, and I said, hey, and we're Christians.
Whoa.
I'm like, what is this? He was like, mom, look at the ones I took out. He took the one with the flower. It was just, but you see, I was on it though. I'm like, boy, you are definitely not doing that. So he put the ones, with the little design and the flower and all of that stuff. He did not put those. But my point is, although that wasn't anything, I still had to check it very quickly and check in with him. This is why our kids are checking out, because we're not checking in. So anyone else can look at that and say, oh, it's just tattoos. Oh, it's just, whatever they are. But I'm like, why would he even be interested in looking at something and then ordering it, using my money to order stuff like that? No,
Yeah, I was going to say, just to piggyback on what you said, Tara, about the little ones that are aged, I think 5 and maybe to 8 or 9. My daughter, she's 6, and I didn't know she was being bullied. I found out when she was bullying my little one, which is 1. She'll go up to him and be like, oh, you're stupid, or you're dumb. I don't like you, DJ. And that's how I found out that she was being bullied at school. And it was actually an incident right before they got released from school, a month ago. A little girl sat on top of her, pulled her hair, and took her shoes off. I had no clue. And me as a mom, I'm thinking how did I miss these red flags? I didn't know that these kids at school didn't like her, because my Zoe, she's so sweet. She's so lovable. But I noticed she was doing the same pattern to her little brother. So now, I'm trying to get her help. I'm always an advocate for counseling. I've always told people that on this show, I believe in counseling for big people and little people. So
Right.
now we're trying to get her help now because of the incident that happened to her, so she won't do it to somebody else.
Right, because that's what happened, and that's happens quite often. That's what I was speaking about with modeling. That's a number one giveaway if you just pay attention. If they're doing anything outside of what they normally do, but they're going to model, especially at that age. They're going to model. It's the tail end of the pre-operational stage of development. And so it's in my book too. It's very, very important because this is where we catch it. We don't catch it in middle school when the behavior is showing up like a big monster. We catch it when it's a little peon and we redirect it. So I commend you, Edwina, for taking those steps for, counseling and anything else that you're doing to redirect that behavior. It's very, very important.
Yes.
I'm happy to hear that you actually had about the school being supportive of your son being bullied. I've been in a lot of situations here in Georgia where that has not been the case.
Right.
And the schools, it's like they worry more about their reputation than reporting the bullying.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the bullying that goes on at school can be helped if the staff, the principal, the teachers join in together and really target that. Because to me, bullying is an epidemic that nobody wants to talk about.
Absolutely.
You see? So I've been in a lot of situations. I've heard of a lot of situations, the bullying getting out of control. The children are getting frustrated because they have went to the staff, they have went to the teachers, they have went to the principal, and they're not being heard. So as soon as they stand up for themselves, they get expelled, they get in trouble, you see? So I'm glad to hear that. And I wish many schools were like that one.
Yes. And what you're speaking about is just my everyday life. I constantly get contacted by parents who are currently in a bullying situation with the schools, or unfortunately those who have had lost children. And this is why the app came about, because I got tired as a mother watching these. Not tired of getting the stories, because this is my work. So I'm not tired by it. I'm impassioned by it. I'm motivated by it, but it's sad and it's hard. It's not easy.
It's heartbreaking.
Oh my goodness. Getting videos. I just got a video, last week. We also, work with a firm who pursues the schools when it's time to do that. And so we just have a whole system of what we do, but it's very important about what you're saying too, because I would say, from the journey that I've been on for 7 years now, I can say that maybe 2 schools out of the thousands were receptive to wanting to do something about it. And that's scary and sad. We have tax-paying monies that go to these schools. We have parents, private schools, some of them $80,000 a year for one child, and your child's being violated. There's child protective laws that are not being put in place. Is just not named bullying, right? So when parents say, well, I couldn't find anything bullying. Because it's not mandatory. What was mandatory in 2010, Georgia, I commend Georgia for being one of the first states to put it in, but it's not being used. So there is an act, there's a anti-bullying act, but what it says in there, and this is what the schools use, and they may be bothered by this, but this is what it is. We have to be real in these conversations so that people know the truth. It just says that you have to have a policies and procedures. It does not say that you have to implement them or there's no governing system. There's nothing saying like, hey, in the last 90 days, I go to school websites and I see if their parent handbook, anything has been updated. I collect all of this data, because this is what I'm going to use when I present to the powers that be, that we have to have these laws put in place. And I do have a personal goal to run for Senate, and I mean it, because these laws have to, you don't just pacify parents who have lost kids by naming. I don't want a street named after my child. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true.
That's not, you're
That's
not
so
So
buying.
I'm
true.
really glad you made this app because
Yes.
now we can,
Yes.
actually catch people, teachers, staff members, anyone
Exactly.
in
Mhm.
action.
Yeah. Thank you.
I hope
I-
it goes viral.
Yes.
about
Exactly.
It's about to. So we're really excited. There's a lot of things legally that I can't say at this time, but there are a lot of things in the mix. We just were invited to the Pentagon, so we'll be there in July.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, yes.
So there's a lot of different things mustering up, and it's inevitable that it was going to do this because there's a need, and the need was exposed through COVID like no one's business. Before COVID, this statistics said 2,500 kids in this age group per year took their lives. We've had 100 kids, close to 100 in the last year, take their lives in this age group. You see, it was already there, right? So just pressure. When you apply pressure,
Wow.
once again, you're going to get the explosion. But now it's time to pick up these pieces and address this. We cannot, these kids are telling us something. I really want to say this, if there's parents and policymakers and teachers and, caretakers, children talk through language. If they are unable to communicate, which 9 times out of 10, even all the way up to teenagers, they have a capacity to use words, yeah, but do you know how to articulate what you're going through emotionally? Absolutely not, because you have all of these impulses and feelings, and then you have someone traumatizing you every single day about your hair or your nose or
That's
your
true.
teeth. Okay, so how that's a lot to ask of a child to process being violated on a daily basis. Speak up about it. Seriously, we got to really get into their psyche, speak up about it, and then be, an armor, a knight in shining armor in their own situation. They're kids. Even the bully is a kid. So I'm excited about the app too. It does a lot. It does a lot.
And it's tracking.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I've
that's
heard the school say, well, we don't have proof, or,
Right.
you have to give us some kind of proof. Where, okay. So I like that.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
track it. Let's record it.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like that.
Can
And
you give
some kids that get bullied in school, they actually have to go home and see it on the internet as well. So they're going through cyberbullying as well. That's a lot to take in as a child. You're going to school and then coming home and having to see that all on the internet. And it doesn't help that we have Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and all those social media
TikTok?
sites where they can TikTok that can expose them even more, That's horrible.
Yeah.
And it has increased. 95% of our youth are online, and that's because of the pandemic. So the numbers, the cyberbullying went from 67%. I don't even believe the new numbers say like 87, 89. I believe they're higher than that because we're in a virtual world now. So now you're detached from your social environment. You're being bullied at home you were in school. Now you're out of school. You're detached from your social circle. It's just so much for these children to handle. But we do have the resolution. The app does so much. You cannot lie on this app. It is in real time. And that's, when you guys ask me the question, I'll go further into what it does because I'm
I was going to say, Tara, could you give us an overview as to how the app works so that we have a clear understanding as to what to expect from it, how to utilize it, and all of that?
Okay. So the Bullying Buddy is very simple to use. Number one, when you open up the app, there's what I named the EBB button. So that's the emergency bullying button. So there's a big giant red button, like you can't miss that, right? So as soon as you open, it goes straight to that button because it's ready to record what you're experiencing. It's voice activated and it's manual. So I thought about, hey, what if their phone is in the backpack? Or hey, what if they just can't get to their phone? Try to think of everything. So if you can't get to it, you still can talk. It records audio and visual. And while it's recording, guess what we all get as the moms and the parents and dads? You get an alert. Admin gets an alert. You get a text message and you get an alert and you get to see what your baby is going through right in that moment in time.
In real time.
Wow. That's amazing.
So does the admin and the principal. So they no longer can say, I didn't see it. I didn't know what happened in the back of the bus. I didn't know this girl was stomped out, real cases, raped in the back of a bus, autistic, couldn't speak up. And the bus driver says he didn't hear it or see it. He just saw a group of kids. With this, he's going to get an alert. Once one of the children activated in the back, he gets it in the front, and he now can pull over the bus and do what he's supposed to do on that bus and handle business. It also tracks. So once it's activated, it tracks for 10 minutes, because bullying, it's not just 5 seconds in the hallway sometimes. Sometimes it is 10 minutes, 20 minutes. That's a long time. There's no range restriction. Your child could be all the way across the country, and you still will get the alert and know what's going on with your child. So that is this is not the full overview, but I'm just going to show it real quick. I don't know if you guys can see, but you see, you can't miss that button, right? Oops, it's recording. So it works that quick. I have to remind myself, right? I'm having meetings a lot of the times, and we're eating. And, you know, I have a funny story with the mayor in California. She was eating her lunch, and I said, all you have to do is say emergency, and it gets the food right in her mouth. And we all laughed. It was a speaking point, but that's how quick it works. You just got to see it, how fast. So you instantly, one of my team members has my alert, and they're going to laugh and see that I was talking to you guys about the app. So another thing that the app does is combat cyberbullying, which is the biggest part of what's going on right now. And how it does this is it's connected to Facebook, Snap, Instagram, or IG. The kids say, Miss Tara, stop saying Instagram, it's IG. So I got to be cool like them, right? So,
I still say Instagram.
I'm like, okay, I spell it all out, IG and Snap. But anyway, it's inside of there. The app is interrelated with the parent and the student, obviously. And you also can chat with your child. So if you see the violation and you're at work and you know you really can't physically get there, you know that the school's handling it, but you can at least send a chat to your child. Mommy sees it, daddy sees it, I'm on it, you know, I'm with you, you know, anything that, you know, has to do with talking to them, because they feel deserted. And then it educates. The biggest part, I'm big on education. I do trainings all over the country, consulting for schools, institutions that host children. Just did a big training at the Boys and Girls Club in California, experiential learning. We do role playing, all of this really bizarre stuff, but it sticks with the brain. We can't talk to them anymore. Are you kidding me? They're hanging themselves. They're shooting themselves. Words have left the building. We have to show them action, right? So the app, inside the app, it educates. It's called the Information Station. So you go in there and you can learn about the 7 types of bullying. People don't know what 7 types. Yes, 7 types of bullying. Their definitions, so that if you're being socially bullied, this is what I mean about communication. How can you even say that to your mom, I'm being socially bullied, when you don't even know what that is? Do you see what I'm saying? But when you come home and say, Mom, all of my friends left me at the lunch table because they said that I, you know, kissed somebody in the bathroom, that's social bullying. And if that mom knows that, then the mom can say, you know what, that's so, we have to educate these kids so that they know the terminologies, and the parents, so that when something comes to them, they understand what's going on with them. This is why they're not speaking up. They don't even know they're being bullied sometimes. They don't
know how to express it. They don't know how to express it. Yeah.
And so it educates in their workshops and videos, and it has so much information. I'm very, very big on that. And a big thing that the app offers too is therapeutic services within the app. In that moment when your child is not speaking up to you, but they're feeling like displaced or abandoned, this is what I'm just speaking to kids. I always speak for them and what they tell me. This is them. I'm speaking for them. And they just say, I did say something and nothing was done, so they don't care. This is how they feel, even with their parents and the principal. This is scary. This is a very scary place for a youth to have a mindset in their head. And so in that app, that's why I named it the Bullying Buddy. It's the buddy in their pocket, right? They don't have to feel embarrassed to go to the principal's office anymore. It does it for them. It speaks for them, and it tracks. It tells the time. It tells who's doing it, the selection of what type of bullying. You can take pictures. You can do so many different things with this app No one can lie anymore. And then we're collecting data set for the CDC so that we can, when you show them numbers, when I've met with senators and governors and all over the place, and we still sit in here talking about it, right? So they said, we will back you if we have numbers. So now I'm giving them credible, because we can sit here and sign petitions and people can lie and humans do that, right? But when you have these reports that these schools are giving to us and we have the true numbers and we know 10% do this, or New York has higher numbers, and then you have credible data and statistics. And now you can go to the government and say, here, this needs to happen. They can't, how can you be denied with the truth in numbers? I'm saying on paper. That's when people move, when they see it. So that's another thing that the app is doing, is collecting data. And then you can, go inside, culturally diverse. I thought of every, culture that I could. It's in Spanish, by the way, as well. We're working on 9 other languages right now. So to be in 10, 11 languages. And you can go in there and look under, therapists in your area and be connected right to a therapist is a whole database full of therapists. And then lastly, it has the bereavement section in the app, because I definitely don't want anyone to not know that we are losing 7-year-olds behind someone not helping them. So when you open that app up and you click on the bereavement section in the app, you see all these little faces and they become real, so that you can read their stories, and it's edgy on purpose, intentional. I was intentional with that. So that's all. It does a lot more, but those are the main things. And then we are releasing the adult version of this app in 2 weeks. It combats domestic violence, human trafficking, elder abuse, financial abuse, every type of abuse that you can think of. This will do the same thing. You will have 6 people that you can put, 5 and yourself, people that are connected. So if you're being raped in your house and your neighbor is connected to you, she can be to your house or your door before the police. And then there is the 911 button inside of the app, right underneath the EBB button. There is 911. A lot of people, it's the last moments before something happens to them that something didn't have to happen to them. So I'm listening to these 911 calls and they're 20 minutes long. And I'm like, this woman was shot 20 minutes ago. And you're saying, hang in there. Where's the ambulance?
Yeah, they're on the way. They're on the way to you, ma'am. They're coming. They're on the way. And meanwhile, she's lost her life, or she's near losing her life because of that 20 minutes. I did want to acknowledge that we did get a comment from a user, Miss Jackson. She said that the app is much needed and it will do so much for the kids. So Tara, definitely, you really are on to something here. It's great that you're doing this for the children. It gives us as parents an additional resource to really have the dialogue and the conversation with our children to help them understand. You've given us the signs to look out for, and if the regression, I think that's a huge thing. If you have a normally happy-go-lucky, smiley, cheerful child that is all of a sudden sullen and wants to be by themselves and does not want to eat their favorite foods and does not want to play their favorite games and does not look forward to doing the activities like you guys like to get in a game of Uno after dinner or something like that. If they're just isolating, that's something for you to then take a cue to sit down and have a conversation with your child about what's going on. And then the direction to the schools, and like Dominique was saying with the staff, it is an epidemic. And if you've utilized all the resources that you have in front of you, if you've gone to the teacher, you've gone to the guidance counselor, you've gone to the principal, you've escalated to the superintendent, and then they turn around and they're punishing your child for making the complaint of the bullying in which they didn't instigate, that's a true problem. And then it defeats the children from wanting to then come forward because they're like, nobody's going to do anything anyway.
Right.
So this is definitely much needed. I think the adult version of it is excellent as well, because there's a lot of craziness that's going on, and domestic violence, it's silent. You don't have very many people speaking up talking about the fact that they're in a domestic violence situation. Financial abuse, that's part of it. If you
Right.
have someone that's controlling all the funds and not giving you access to money, that's part of it. If
Right.
you are being assaulted, if you're being raped, just because you're married to someone doesn't mean that
Right.
they own your body. It's your body, and no still means no. So it's great that you're putting these resources forth and giving us access to have these apps so that we can take control back
Yes.
and really have an understanding as to what we can do to protect ourselves, to protect our children, and put an end, or at least slow down the numbers of this epidemic. There was a story in Georgia not too long ago, and it was certain daycares and certain schools, and my son had this as well, when he was in daycare, they have cameras where you can like sign in and then you can look and you can see what's going on in the classroom and whatnot. And a parent had signed in and looked in the classroom and saw children actually being abused. So they took that information, they contacted the police. There was an investigation. The teachers were fired. They were removed from the school, and criminal charges were then being pressed because they went back and they watched that video. And then the police have even gone back even further to see how far back does this go? And how did the school not know about it? How did the school not know about it? So we need these resources. We need to have this available to us. And, I definitely commend you for standing firm, in your dedication and your commitment. And it's wonderful that you have such a great relationship, with your son, and you want to support him in any way possible. And this blossomed and this grew from the experience that he was having.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Ms. Tara?
No. Thank you so much for coming on to speak with us today.
No, thank you so much. And let us know if you want to come back. I definitely hope to see that app, become nationwide.
Thank
So,
you.
Likewise. You're such a powerful woman. I appreciate the inspiration that you've given us today. Just keep going. I'm looking forward to seeing how well the app takes off. I know it will.
Yes. And this was perfect for Working Women Wednesday. You were the
yes.
that for today. So we thank you so much. We appreciate you. And I'm sure this is not the last time that we will have you as a guest on the Real Chill Conversations podcast. You can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube, and many other platforms will be coming available soon. So we will see you then. Thank you, Tara. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, ladies.
Bye.
Good evening. Bye.